Welcome back. Well, as we know, temperatures have been well above average here for the first half of September, and a lot of us are starting to wonder, how long is this going to last? Here to talk more about it with me is Trent Ford, who is the Illinois State Climatologist. Thanks for being with us today, Trent.
Yeah, thanks, Emily.
So first and foremost, fall is just beginning. We're halfway through September. We're already into meteorological fall, but we still have astronomical fall that's going to be beginning on Sunday. Does it look like this weather pattern is going to continue?
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get a little bit of relief. When I say relief, I mean a little bit of rain, which is something we haven't had in a little while. And temperatures are going to drop a little bit. We'll be in the 70s instead of the 80s. But when we look at outlooks for 2 weeks out and beyond, and the most recently released outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for October, all of those still show the best chance of above average temperatures. So while it won't be necessarily hot because we are, as you mentioned, getting into fall, real fall, it will likely be above average as far as temperatures are concerned for at least another 3 to 4 weeks before we start maybe seeing more hints at that real fall air.
Now, as the days become shorter, we all know what's coming, right? We're all thinking about
Mhm.
winter already, and we're just barely getting into fall. But when do we typically see our first freeze here in the Chicagoland area?
Yeah, so this is the thing is the average first freeze, so let's talk about a 32-degree freeze, is right around the third week of October. That's the long-term average for Chicago, and there's a lot of variability year to year. The earliest is the third week of September. That's the earliest we've seen it. So basically, like right now, is the earliest we've seen it. The latest is the third week in November. So we have about a 2-month period in there where we can have a lot of variability of when we see that first freeze. The frost is the first kind of frost that we see is usually about 2 weeks before then. So, if it's a typical year, then often a week or two before Halloween, that's really the first freeze that we typically get around Chicagoland.
And are there any signs pointing towards the potential for an early start to winter weather or that early start to a frost or a freeze? Or do you think we're just kind of smooth sailing with the warmth for now?
So the first freeze or first frost is really a weather phenomenon. So even if we have a really mild or warmer fall, we can still get that random shot of cold air one evening and we get a frost. With that being said, an early start to winter with prolonged cold, we're not really seeing many signs of that, at least through October, if not through the end of November. All of those outlooks through that time period for the next month or two are still leaning above average as far as temperature. So again, it doesn't mean that we can't get that shot of cold air or, God forbid, maybe a snow in fall. But as far as a prolonged, what we would really consider a real start to the winter season, it looks like we're going to have to wait until at least the latter half of fall, if not the start of meteorological winter in December to really start to see that weather.
Oh, hey, people like me, we love to hear that. That sounds pretty good to me. So the Climate Prediction Center says La Nina is favored to emerge sometime this fall. So what could that mean for our winter season?
Yeah, so I've given you, the summer lovers, a bit of good news. Now, for me, the winter lover, a bit of good news. If we do see La Nina, which is a really good chance we will, 70% chance that La Nina develops in the next few months, and an 80% chance it carries over the winter. Typically, La Nina winters bring a little bit of cooler and a little bit of wetter winters to Chicagoland. Now, it's not every La Nina that does that. There's a lot of variability, but when we look at the last 30 to 50 years of La Nina winters, they tend to be a bit cooler overall, and they tend to be a bit wetter. Now, if we combine cool and wet, I can see pictures of snowfall on the screen. That's typically what we get. So, when we look at the outlooks, they do show for December through February higher chances of below normal temperatures, above normal precipitation for Chicagoland. We'll see if that actually happens. There's a lot of other players that can affect winter weather, but when we look out for the next 3 months or so, that's what we're seeing.
All right, Illinois State Climatologist Trent Ford, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, let's get a check of our local weather right now. Temperatures are currently sitting in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. As we know, it's very warm. 89 degrees now at O'Hare, 88 in Gary, 89 in Joliet. We're now at 90 in Morris and 91 in LaSalle. Here's where we're headed tonight. Temps are going to be dropping down into the upper 60s with south-southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. And I know you're seeing that rainy icon. Yes, we finally have some rain that's going to be in the forecast at some point late tonight into the early morning hours of tomorrow. And then your 5-day forecast here, temperature is still looking very, very warm. We're going to be in the mid 80s tomorrow, upper 80s near 90 degrees on Saturday. And then we have another chance of rain being possible on Sunday, which of course marks the beginning of the fall season. And temperatures next week are finally looking a little more fall-like. Guys, back to you.
Emily, thanks.